My name is Ron Frederick. I'm proud to be the mayor for the city of Dupont. Welcome to all the elected officials here today, to our military neighbors, and to all of our honored guests. The Purple Heart Medal is awarded to members of the armed forces of the United States who are wounded by an instrument of war in the hands of the enemy, and posthumously to the next of kin in the name of those who are killed in action or die of wounds received in action. It is specifically a combat decoration. The organization, now known as the Military Order of the Purple Heart, was formed in 1932 for the protection and mutual interest of all who have received the decoration. Composed exclusively of Purple Heart recipients, it is the only veteran service organization comprised strictly of combat veterans. I don't have the exact numbers, but I know that we have many Purple Heart recipients living right here in Dupont. The city of Dupont became a Purple Heart city via proclamation on September 12th, 2023. We will be unveiling the city's Purple Heart sign in a moment. Please stand for the tribal land blessing, followed by the invocation prayer by Chaplain Greg Ford. Territory of the Nisqually-Apsh people. The Nisqually-Apsh people are of the modern-day Nisqually Indian tribe. The surrounding mountains, valleys, shorelines, and waterways are imbued with their presence. We seek to nurture our relationship with our Coast Salish neighbors and our shared responsibilities to this place, their homelands, where we mutually abide. Chaplain?
Let us pray. No man is an island. No man stands alone. Each man's joy is joy to me. Each man's grief is my own. We need one another, so I will defend. Each man as my brother, each man as my friend. Gracious God of heaven, we thank you for this day and this Purple Heart Congressional Gold Medal Award ceremony in honoring fallen and wounded veterans from Filipino and American veterans of World War II. It is by your grace and mercy that we recognize that freedom comes at a cost that is like no other. When lives are given from a place of duty, honor, and sacrifice. We thank you for not only those who have served in our military, but the families who have stood beside them and continue to stand with them every day. For the roads that our service members and families have traveled have not been easy, but nevertheless, they continue to show us the way of perseverance that leads to crossing the finish line in this journey of life. For Misty Harvey, DRAHOS, and the other Congressional Gold Medal recipients, we say thank you for your service and sacrifice, and thank you, O Lord, for giving them the strength and the courage to be the servants that they have been serving so many in their pilgrimage. For as the scripture says, greater love has no one than this, but to lay down one's life for a friend. Truly, this is the ultimate sacrifice, an example of love. For it is in the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for the Philippine National Anthem performed by Americas Casto and followed by the United States of America National Anthem performed by Cornelius Winesberry. A little note today that I was handed on Cornelius and Sharon Winesberry, both members of the U.S. Army during the Vietnam era. Sharon, a member of the Women's Army Corps, met while serving at Fort Lewis. Cornelius is a retired member of the City of Tacoma Fire Department, was one of the first African-American firefighter paramedics within Washington State, and on June 7th, Sharon and Cornelius will celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary. So, Mary Chris, you're
Mark time. Mark. Break.
Bayang magiliw, pelas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, saan man nulupig, di ka pa sisiil sa dagat at bundok, sa simay, sa langit mong bukaw, may dilagang tula at awit sa paglayan minamahal, ang kisat ng wataw at mo'y tagumpay na nanginingning, ang bituin at araw niya kailan, pag may minadidilim, lupa ng araw ng luwal, hatid pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo, aming ligaya na pag may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet waves o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Forward, on. Right, wait. Forward, march.
Before we begin, allow me to recognize some special guests. First, one of our World War II veterans will be getting an award today, Mr. HARVEY DRAHOS. Mr. DRAHOS recently received Mr. DRAHOS recently received a Purple Heart Medal that he earned after being wounded in the World War II Battle of Okinawa when he was 22 years old. After many decades of trying to settle the record, he was finally awarded the medal in the September 30th, 2023 ceremony at the Olympic Flight Museum in Tumwater. Surrounded by many of the people who helped him along the journey in getting recognition for his military record, he was finally and properly honored. The city of Dupont is honored to be in his presence. Are there any other Purple Heart recipients in our audience today? Please stand and be recognized. One additional person that we have here today is James Turner of Olympia. He was in a Japanese prisoner of war camp in the Philippines when he was 2 to 5 years old. And he is here with us today as well. So thank you, sir, for your attendance. It is my honor to introduce our first speaker, Robert Olivares, who is the National Senior Vice Commander for the Military Order of the Purple Heart. Mr. Olivares?
Hello everybody, thank you for having me. My name is Robert Olivares. I am the current National Senior Vice Commander for the Military Order of the Purple Heart. Honored to be here and honored to have you guys honor all our Purple Heart recipients. A little backstory on us. Purple Heart is the oldest medal that we hold in the United States. It originally started out as the Badge of Merit, which now we know is a good conduct to us who've served. So it's basically, congratulations, you didn't get hurt, you did a good job, here's a little patch. So that's what we used to do to our service members way back when. There's currently 250,000 Purple Heart recipients residing in the United States right now. Here in Washington, I believe last I checked, we had a little over 5,000. 5,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but that's 5,000 people that gave some, and some of them gave all. So just whenever you see a Purple Heart recipient, remember they went through something that not most people can do and take care of, and they still came back home to take care of their own and stand here. Funny story about how I became a Purple Heart member. Didn't know this organization existed. Not a clue. Received my first Purple Heart back in 04. Then came home in 2009. I was actually out on a date, believe it or not, and I walked by a guy's vehicle who had literally 20 Purple Heart stickers on his Hummer, and I was like, wow, this guy really loves that he was wounded. And at that time, I was on my date, and she was asking me, like, well, don't you have some? I was like, yeah, I do, but you don't see me posting it everywhere like this. Is weird. So at that time, a disgruntled veteran, really good friend of mine now, came out and asked me what I was staring at because I look young. Believe it or not, I'm in my mid-40s, but I always get accused of being in my 30s. And so sort of kind of got angry with me and told me, you know, what's your problem with Purple Heart recipients? And I looked at him and was like, I have a Purple Heart. And once I said that, his whole demeanor changed. Gave me a card, didn't think anything of it, went out on another date with the girl I was dating, didn't feel like shopping at the mall, and she reminded me about a meeting. So in 2009, I joined my first Purple Heart meeting, and that was in May of 2009. And in June of 09, I became an official member and worked my way up. It wasn't until going to a few funerals, noticing the lack of participation and the care that we didn't give to our veteran community, that I wanted to get more involved. So I've made my way up, ran through the state, was a state commander for 3 years. Tossed it over to Jennifer, if she could please stand up. I know I'm going to embarrass you. Go ahead, stand up. It's our first female state commander. And so Jennifer hates me because I make her go to everywhere and do everything. And I was like, well, we need exposure, get out there. So now I'm the senior vice, and if everything goes well, come July, I'll be the national commander, and I'll oversee all Purple Heart recipients within the United States and do what I can to make life better for us and easier. So if you guys have anything, feel free to reach out to the Purple Heart at any point in time. Myself and Jennifer and Alan, wherever he's at, right behind me, actually run all the social medias here in Washington, and we're always trying to give back to the community and help other veterans and patriots alike. We don't just help Purple Heart recipients. We actually have a joint venture with the VFW. We're the first organization to do a joint venture, and because we're all doing the same thing, so why not help each other out? So we're looking forward to working with the DAV, the American Legion, and the Marine Corps League. So again, thank you for all that you've done for us and for making Dupont a Purple Heart city. I'm hoping by the end of next year we'll have all of Washington State. So every city and county is a Purple Heart city and county. Washington State already is a Purple Heart state, but we're not going to stop there. We're going to let everybody know that we exist, And this way we're going to let every other Patriot and Purple Heart recipient be aware that we're here for them and they can reach out to us at any time. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to have Major Alan Acosta, retired, with the Military Order of the Purple Heart.
Thank you to JBLM and our community partners for coming to support the City of Dupont and the residents as they show their continued commitment to our armed forces and those who've served. As a Purple Heart City, they add to a growing list of cities across the nation in support of our veterans. Because of the residents of the city understand that freedom comes with a price. Freedom is paid in full with the sacrifice of the few, so many will have. This dedication is just not about those that have received the Purple Heart. I know for me, it's a reminder of the men and women to my left and right on the battlefield. We fought together. We fought as one. We fought hard, and we fought to win. Some did not come home and paid the ultimate sacrifice. Some came back wounded. But we came home together. We shared in the hard-fought fight, grit in our teeth, and the relief of completing the mission and coming home. So when you look at the Purple Heart signs in the city of Dupont, you can be assured that the service is valued, your service honored and respected, that the residents of the city of Dupont understand your sacrifice, and the city will always have your back. As a naturalized citizen, America has given me and my family many opportunities to earn and achieve success. Joining a professional military service dedicated to protecting our American way was my family's gratitude for a country that has given us much. I am honored to be one in your ranks. For those still in uniform and serving our great nation, thank you. In an ever-changing world, and continued to be a beacon of light, principled, disciplined, steadfast, and loyal, that is needed today, leading by example, professional, and true in uncertain times. Let the Purple Heart signs in this city be a marker of our support, love, and respect. For God and country, one team, one fight. Fight, fight hard, fight to win. Assassin 6 out.
At this time, would any city council members here coming up on the stage? Okay, our city council member is going to help us unveil the Purple Heart sign that we're going to have at the entrance of our city. So, gentlemen, ladies, go ahead and unveil the sign. And as I said, this will be at the entrance to our city for everyone to see when they come to Dupont. At this time, I would like to introduce Thelma Sevilla, in the Region 8 Deputy Director for the Filipino Veterans Recognition and Education Project. She is also Vice President of the National Philippine Scouts Heritage Society and Vice President for the Calugas Chapter, Tacoma, Washington. Born in Manila, Philippines at the end of World War II, she arrived on the shores of Washington State in 1953 with her family by way of the U.S. Army. As a U.S. Army dependent, she has lived in Japan, Germany, and Fort Lawton, Washington on U.S. Army bases. In 1960, her family finally settled in Seattle, where she completed her formal and college schooling, worked, and retired from Quest International, a telecommunications company, after 35 years of service. Following retirement, In 2000, she devoted her spare time volunteering in community and faith organizations, advocating and lobbying for World War II veterans' benefits and rights, mentoring in elementary school reading programs, and promoting the Congressional Gold Medal program, Duty to Country. Thelma and husband George, of 57 years, live in Lake Forest Park, Washington. They have 3 children and are proud grandparents of 4. So, Thelma?
Right here. You want the handheld mic?
Thank you, Mayor Ron Fredericks. On behalf of the Filipino Veterans Recognition and Education Project, thank you to the City of Dupont, otherwise known as PhilVet Rep. We thank you for the honor of inviting us to be a part of the Purple Heart unveiling and to honor those who are recipients of the Congressional Gold Medal. I am very honored to be here with the families, member of our armed forces, and congressional representatives of our beautiful state of Washington and the City of Dupont to present the awarding of the Congressional Gold Medal. I'd like to begin by sharing what it is, who it's awarded to, and why, and a short history of how the Filipino veterans of World War II Congressional Gold Medal came to be enacted. Public Law 114265 states that this enactment shall be an act to award a Congressional Gold Medal collectively to the Filipino veterans of World War II in recognition of the dedicated service of the veterans during World War II. On October 25, 2017, the U.S. Congress awarded the Congressional Gold Medal to all Filipino and American soldiers who fought in the Philippines during World War II. It is our nation's highest civilian honor, awarded to an individual or unit who performs an outstanding deed or act of service to the security, prosperity, and national interest of the United States. With an impending war on the horizon, on July 27, 1941, President Theodore Roosevelt, by presidential authority, ordered the establishment of the United States Armed Forces in the Far East. Its headquarters was in Manila, Philippines. Over 250,000 Filipinos answered the call to duty. On December 8, 1941, not even 24 hours after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, Japanese imperial forces invaded the Philippines and quickly overtook the peninsula, Bataan Peninsula, and Corregidor Island. In the Bataan Peninsula, more than 78,000 members of the United States Armed Forces were captured, specifically 66,000 Filipinos and 12,000 service members from the United States. They were transferred from one prison camp to another and forced to march the 70-plus miles to Cabanatuan Prison in what is known today as the infamous Bataan Death March. Forced to march the 70-plus miles in distance in 1 week without adequate food, water, or medicine, nearly 700 members of the United States Armed Forces and an estimated 10,000 Filipinos perished during the journey. After the fall of the Bataan Peninsula, the Japanese forces turned its sights on Corregidor Island. Of the estimated 13,000 U.S. soldiers and Filipino troops combined forces on Corregidor, an estimated 800 were killed, 1,000 were wounded, and 11,000 were captured and forced to march through the city of Manila and distributed to various prisoner of war camps. I met today a person who survived the prison camp in Manila, and I think he's somewhere in the audience. Many were sent to Japan to work in mines. The rest of the captured troops escaped or perished on the Japanese hell ships. These valiant soldiers of World War II fought, suffered, and in many instances gave the ultimate sacrifice by dying on the battlefield, on the death march, or in prison camps. And yet, in 1946, sadly and shamefully, President Harry Truman signed the Rescission Act of 1946, rescinding, taking back all veteran benefits promised to Filipino soldiers. For 75 years, Filipino veterans of World War II fought for their benefits, rightly earned and never given. And so the passage and formal awarding of the Congressional Gold Medal reinstates what was promised and never given. The United States remains forever indebted to the bravery, valor, and dedication that the Filipino and American veterans of World War II displayed. Their commitment and sacrifice demonstrated a highly uncommon and commendable sense of patriotism and honor. Today's ceremony gives us a great opportunity to preserve the historic saga of heroism and duty to country with an education program designed to enshrine their legacy for all future generations. If you'll take the time, you'll see some pamphlets there on Filipino veterans. It's a booklet and also a banner. Our veterans accomplished their mission with their lives. We must accomplish our mission to commit to the preservation and dissemination of their enduring stories of courage and sacrifice. Filipino and American veterans of World War II in the Philippines, this is an American story. As former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was quoted, "We honor them as an inseparable part of the fabric of our community and our country." And former House Speaker Paul Ryan said, let this ceremony ensure that those who fought for freedom are never forgotten and always remembered. I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker, although some of you already know who he is. Our keynote speaker today is my friend, mentor, and we get into trouble sometimes. Our keynote speaker, Brigadier General Oscar Hillman, born in Libmanan, Republic of the Philippines, and emigrated to Washington State in 1968. He's a graduate of Central Washington University and joined the United States Army and Active Guard Reserve of the Washington National Guard. He was commissioned an armor officer through the Officer Candidate School in 1977. Following the numerous platoon, operations officer, battalion commander assignments, and leadership positions, he commanded the 81st Armored Brigade into Iraq during the global war on terror. He was assigned platoon leader, Echo Troop 303 Cavalry Squadron, and then as mortar platoon leader for the 1st Battalion, 803rd Armor Regiment. He has commanded the Combat Support Company for the 1st Battalion. Following promotion to major, he was assigned as executive officer for the 1st Battalion. As the S3 operations officer for the 81st Armored Brigade, he commanded the 144th Boat Battalion, the only boat battalion in the reserve component, boats, and subsequently the 3rd Battalion, 161st Infantry Regiment. Following assignments as the G3 and U.S. Property and Fiscal Officer for the Washington National Guard, he was assigned Commanding General of the 81st Armored Brigade during Operation Iraqi Freedom 03, in which he mobilized, trained, and deployed the brigade to Iraq, which was the first mobilization and deployment for the 81st Brigade since World War II. The 81st Armored Brigade was the first National Guard brigade level organization to cross the border into Iraq during the global war on terror. In 2005, he was assigned Deputy Commanding General for I Corps at Fort Lewis, and today JBLM. Brigadier General Hillman retired in 2007, having served 37 plus years in the United States Army. Military awards and decoration include Legion of Merit with Oak Leaf Cluster, Bronze Star Medal with Oak Leaf Cluster, Meritorious Service Medal with 4 Oak Leaf Clusters, Army Commendations Medal with 2 Oak Leaf Clusters, Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Humanitarian Service Medal, and the Combat Action Badge. Whew, I'm taking a rest.
That's it.
Military education includes several leadership management and resource management courses, armor basic and advanced combined armed services courses, staff, tank commander, and total quality awareness courses. He received his Master of Science degree in Strategic Science at the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College. He is currently the director of Philavet Rep and lives in Tacoma, Washington. He is a mentor, veteran, father of 4 children, grandfather of 9, and lives in Tacoma with his wife, Patty. Please welcome Oscar Hillman.
Thank you, Thelma. Mayor Frederick, the City of Dupont and staff, Major General McFarland, and our military leaders from JPLM, our folks from Olympia, the state and federal government officials, and I could go on. That really cut into my 20-minute speech. Thelma, thank you for covering the history of the Philippines in World War II and the Congressional Gold Medal. Upon retirement, I focus on veterans. It's a complete field rather than the 37 years in the Army. What I was more emotional was the lack of support to the veterans of World War II and many other wars. It took 75 years to award the Filipino Americans, and the guerrilla to get some type of recognition. In 1946, the Rescission Act was passed that stripped away the veteran status of the Filipino and Filipino veterans that retired in the Philippines. So there was a big struggle. You heard about the Philippine Scouts is just like the Tuskegee Indian or the Navajo Code Stoppers. There were presence of discrimination then. Although they were approved, authorized, paid in cloth by Congress and United States Army, they were named Philippine Scouts. Those that came here, the 26,000 that came here, first fought the Korean War, and some fought the Vietnam War, retired from the U.S. Army. And that was the immigration, in my mind, that was the immigration process to join the military and take the given opportunity in the United States. And I'm going up my script. So I have a long version, and I have a one-page short version. I know you will like the one-page version. You know, my passion was the Filipino Veteran Recognition Group. And there was in the public law added an educational project. Thelma talked about the Congressional Gold Medal, and that was for, in the paragraph in the bylaws says, eligibility is Filipino American, American enlisted and officer, including the Air Force, the Army Air Corps, and the fighting guerrilla, the recognized guerrilla. Those were the eligibility to receive a Congressional Gold Medal. I have a very good command sergeant major who passed away last year. He kept the records and he vetted all the applications. So the 455 we're awarding in state of Washington, Alaska, Idaho, and Oregon, they have been reviewed by my former command sergeant major. We have, in state of Washington, we have a very good team that we have 100% approval from the U.S. Congress and U.S. Senator. We're the first state nonpartisan that passed the Public Law 112-265. Also, we're the first state that raised $65,000 in one day, so congressional medals don't have to be purchased by their dependents or living veterans. It's been mentioned that this is the highest and the oldest award. So my short version said, Thelma, present the award.
Thank you, Oscar Hillman. So earlier in the program, you heard the congressional messages from Senator Maria Cantwell's office, as well as Congressman Adam Smith's. And I would like to invite Honorary Consul Attorney Enrico Tadeo to please deliver the message from the Philippine Consulate's office in San Francisco. Attorney Eric Tadeo lives in Vancouver, Washington, and he has the authority by the Philippine Consulate to process immigration papers here in the state of Washington, and represents Washington, Alaska, Idaho, and Washington State, of course, and one other one. So please welcome Attorney Eric Tadeo.
Trying to figure out whether I need to step up the stool. This is okay, right? My name is Enrico Tadeo. I represent the Philippine Consulate actually in San Francisco. To give you context, there's the Philippine Embassy in Washington, D.C., and there's about 6 or 7 consulates throughout the United States. And San Francisco is one of them. And I'm honorary consul for Washington and Oregon, reporting in a way to the San Francisco Consulate. Consulate General, Consulate General Ferrer would like to have been here, but he couldn't. He's got duties to perform where he is right now, but he's excited about this and sent me a letter for me to read to you and to just express how he wished that he could be here and how he wished he could actually greet everybody in person. So what I have here is a message from Consul General Neil Frank Ferrer, Consul General in San Francisco, Philippine Consulate. He says, I joined the city of Dupont, Washington, and the Filipino Veterans Recognition and Education Project in honoring Filipino and American World War II veterans during the U.S. Congressional Gold Medal awarding ceremony and the Purple Heart sign unveiling. I sincerely thank Mayor Ronald Frederick, whom I note was previously stationed in the Subic Bay Naval Base in the Philippines during his time with the U.S. Navy and the City Council and the government of Dupont for this fitting tribute to our veterans. It has been 6 years since the first awarding ceremony of the U.S. Congressional Gold Medal took place at the Emancipation Hall of the U.S. Capitol. It was a watershed moment, almost 8 decades in the making, when the contributions of more than 250,000 Filipino veterans to the cause of freedom and finally recognized with the highest civilian award the government can bestow. From the first attack in Luzon in December 1941 and the fall of Bataan and Corregidor in April and May 1942, the victory of the Allied forces and the liberation of the Philippines in August 1945, thousands of Filipino men and women in combat and non-combat roles courageously fought for the homeland and collectively paid the price for freedom. Fast forward today, the most enduring legacy of our World War II veterans is the strong Philippines and U.S. relations that we today enjoy. The Philippines is America's oldest treaty ally in Asia, and the alliance between our two countries is at an all-time high. This was made evident last April in Washington, D.C. in the very first U.S.-Philippine-Japan trilateral summit led by President Joe Biden, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., and Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. The strategic partnership among these three erstwhile rivals is a testament that peace is achievable when like-minded states work together in securing regional and economic prosperity for their peoples. It is unfortunate that only a few Filipino veterans were able to witness how their sacrifices are remembered and their memory is immortalized through the awards. To the families of the veterans who are no longer with us, I say, they may be your fathers, grandfathers, great-grandfathers, brothers, or uncles, but for the rest of us, they are our heroes and our role models. Their hardships and the legacy of your ancestors will never be diminished nor forgotten by future generations of Filipinos and Filipino Americans. Mabuhay ang ating veterano, mabuhay ang Pilipinas at Amerika. Letter from Neil Frank Ferrer, Consul General. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Attorney Eric Tadeo. Now I'd like to begin what we're all here for. In addition to the Purple Heart sign unveiling, we're here for the Congressional Gold Medal Award ceremony. And I would like to announce the presenters. I would like to say that we would like to call Major General Matthew McFarland, who will be one of the presenters. Brigadier General Oscar Hillman, who is already on stage, as well as Mayor Ron Frederick and Attorney Consul Enrico Tadeo. And to the next of kin who will be the recipients, I will call each of your names, and if you would please come to the back this way and be escorted to the stage. And I will call up as many of the family members who are here present as I can. It'll be crowded. Our first presenter today will be Major General Matt McFarland, presenting to our next of kin for Staff Sergeant Joe M. Bomersback. Our recipient today is Mrs. Catherine B. Baranowski and her husband, Eugene, from Tipton, Indiana. Joe Bomersback, U.S. Army, 382nd Infantry Regiment, 96th Infantry Division. He served December 26, 1942 to January 1946. Okay. Do you want me to move? We're doing some rearranging. While I'm reading, he served in the Pacific Theater, the Philippine Liberation, and Leyte and Okinawa. Joe Bomersback was born in Huntington, Indiana on November 14, 1913 at Fort Benjamin Harrison, Indiana. As a combat infantryman in the 96th Infantry Division, 382nd Infantry Regiment, he was assigned to the Southern Philippines. Joe was a combat soldier, but he was also the battalion supply sergeant. always concerned with getting his soldiers what they needed to stay alive in combat. Joe was dishonorably discharged on January 24, 1946 at Camp Atterbury, Indiana. Catherine recalls Joe did not like coconut because he said he drank too much coconut milk while serving. He also told his daughters he did not like for them to play war because it was not a game or fun. Among his many service medals, Joe was awarded the American and Pacific Theater Ribbon with 2 Bronze Stars, Philippine Liberation Ribbon with 1 Bronze Star, Good Conduct Ribbon, and Meritorious Unit Award, Bronze Arrowhead, and Victory Medals. Please give Catherine a round of applause. If anyone would like to take a photo, this is a good time. Oh, it's great. Okay, our next recipient is Staff Sergeant Lawrence Larry E. Cassidy. Accepting for him on his behalf is his grandson, Jason, and David Cassidy, who is not able to join us, the son, and his wife, Miss Hiroko Cassidy. Presenting the award to Jason Cassidy is Mayor Ron Frederick. Larry served in U.S. Army Headquarters Company, 2nd Battalion, 32nd Infantry, 7th Division, June 25, 1940 to September 1945, served in the Aleutian Islands, Eastern Mandates, Leyte, and Southern Philippines. Larry was born on August 27, 1920 in Penfield, Illinois. He was one of millions of U.S. veterans labeled as the greatest generation. He enrolled in President Roosevelt's Put America Back to Work program on agricultural conservationist in northern Wisconsin. Following his initial tour, Larry enlisted in the U.S. Army in 1940 and became a cook or baker. He was assigned as Unit Communications Sergeant with the 7th Infantry Division. He served in Attu, Kwajalein, Leyte, Philippines, and lastly, Okinawa. Among his many service medals, Larry received 4 Overseas Service Bars, Service Stripe, American Defense Service, Asiatic Pacific Theater Ribbon with 4 Bronze Stars. Please give them a round of applause. David is the son of Larry Cassidy, and David is in Thailand serving in the Peace Corps. Cambodia serving in the Peace Corps. Thank you. Next recipient is Technician 5 or Corporal Harvey Drahos, age 101, receiving for himself. Please come to the front. And presenting the award to Harvey Drahos is Honorary Consul Enrico Tadeo and Brigadier General Oscar Hillman. Harvey served in the U.S. Army 382nd Infantry Regiment, 96th Infantry Division from 1943 to February 1946. He served in the Pacific Theater, Battle of Okinawa, Philippine Liberation, and in Leyte. Harvey Drahos was born in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, 1923, enlisted in the U.S. Army in 1943. Following training in Colorado, he was assigned to the 96th Infantry Division, 382nd Infantry. Harvey was part of the invasion force in the Battle of Okinawa. receiving multiple wounds and given last rites. Obviously and miraculously, he survived as he is receiving his Congressional Gold Medal in person today. Harvey is the last living member of his military unit. Among the many service medals he has been awarded, he has also awarded the Bronze Star, World War II Victory Medal, Bronze Service Stars, Good Conduct Medal, the Presidential Citation, World War II Honorable Service Button, and on August 29, 2023, after 78 years of waiting, Harvey was finally awarded his Purple Heart Medal. Throughout Harvey's lifetime, he has held multiple careers, earned numerous certifications, and pursued a law degree, held several government and community service boards, including Rotary and the Red Cross. Representative Marilyn Strickland honored Harvey on the United States House floor for his military service, sacrifice, and continuing community service. On January 5, 2024, Harvey celebrated his 103rd birthday. And with him today are his family, his daughter, Elizabeth, his son, Harvey, his granddaughter, Sharessa. Who else am I missing? Harvey's wife, Arlene, and you are? Okay, Ralph's wife, Arlene, and Ralph DRAHOS. These family members came from out of state.
You want to speak? Yes.
Oh, I can move it.
It is a great honor for me to be here today and to be 101 years old. And I thank the good Lord that I have survived and have now been recognized by the Philippine government and the Purple Heart Association. I really, it is a great honor. It just touches my heart. I will forever remember this, and my family is here from Illinois, Montana, and all my friends, and I'd like to thank especially the Northwest Kiwanis Club for supporting me for all these years. And I thank you all very much.
Are you going to be doing any marathons? Our next recipient is U.S. Marine Corps Sergeant Clyde W. Dye, and accepting for Sergeant Clyde is his son Dennis, who lives in Seattle, Washington. Presenting to him will be Major General Matthew McFarland. He is accompanied by his wife Jamie, and I want to give a shout out to the Dye family. There is like an entire family here. Won't you please stand up? Would you like to come up? While they're coming up, I will read his bio. So, U.S. Marine Corps, 1st Separate Marine Battalion. He served in Cavite, Philippines, and was a prisoner of war for 3 years. His dates of service, 1940 to 1946. Location of service was Philippine Islands, prisoner of war camp in Camp Oyama, Japan. Marine Sergeant Clyde W. Dye was born on November 1919 in Crocker, Missouri, and raised in Oklahoma. He enlisted in the Marine Corps in January of 1940. And 1 year and 4 months later, Private First Class Dye was shipped out of San Francisco, bound for the Philippine Islands. Private First Class Dye survived the Japanese attack in Olongapo, only to be captured on Corregidor, where he was sent to Cabanatuan prison camp, where he joined 5,000 prisoners to camps. Corporal Dye was a prisoner of war for 3 years, enduring torture and heinous treatment by his captors on the hell ships and Japanese mines, and finally liberated on September 10, 1945, weighing at a scant 88 pounds from his normal weight of 160. Corporal Dye was promoted to sergeant on February 10, 1946, and discharged in April of 1946. Sergeant Dye was awarded the following medals for his service in the Philippines: Prisoner of War, American Defense, Philippine Independence, Philippine Liberation, Asian Pacific Campaign, American Campaign, World War II Victory, and Distinguished Emblem with Oak Leaf Cluster. Give a round of applause. Our next recipient is Sergeant Lyle J. Fleming, and accepting for Lyle is his daughter, Rhonda S. Fleming Frederick, from Dupont, Washington. Some of you may know her because she is the wife of Mayor Ron Frederick. Sergeant Fleming served in the U.S. Army 32nd Infantry Division, and his date of service was September 1940 to 1945. Awarding the Congressional Gold Medal to Rhonda will be her husband and Honorary Consul Eric Tadeo. He served in New Guinea and the Philippine Islands. Lyle was born in Pennsylvania in 1922, dropped out of high school in September of 1940 to enlist in the U.S. Army. Following the Japanese bombing of Pearl Harbor, Lyle volunteered to go overseas to fight. His first stop was Australia for jungle training in New Guinea, where he fought alongside the indigenous tribes against the Japanese. He soon found himself in the mountains and jungles of the Philippines in 1944 and 1945, working with the 32nd Cavalry Reconnaissance Troop. My only guess is that he became a guerrilla also. He was essentially performing guerrilla warfare. Sergeant Fleming was awarded both the Bronze Star and Purple Heart for his bravery and heroic service in capturing enemy soldiers for intelligence, destroying bridges, and reporting on enemy movements. Sergeant Fleming assisted in liberating thousands of prisoners held in the Japanese camps, and in the Battle of Manila, the most brutal urban warfare of World War II. In 1945, without a second thought to receiving his service medals, Sergeant Fleming returned home and requested immediate discharge. Not until 1996 was he then awarded his World War II service medals at a special ceremony in Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs. In his civilian life, Lyle helped build America on important projects like dams and nuclear energy facilities. 60 years later, his high school in Pennsylvania presented Lyle with an honorary high school diploma. He too was part of the greatest generation. Our last recipient today is Master Sergeant Pastor Palombaret. Receiving for Pastor is his daughter Helen Palombaret and her brother Ferdinand. Anyone else? Any other brothers and sisters here? You're welcome to come up. Presenting the award is Brigadier General Oscar Hillman and Honorary Consul Eric Tadeo. Pastor Palombaret served in the U.S. Army Philippine Scouts from May 1931 to December 1958 in the Philippines. He was born in Iloilo, Philippines. The U.S. Army records showed that Pastor Palombaret enlisted 7 times as early as May 18, 1931, and discharged 7 times with a final discharge on December 6, 1958, from Fort Lewis. On one discharge form that I read, his civilian occupation was noted as professional soldier. As a Philippine scout, he was captured and survived the Bataan Death March and camp prison. His surveyor skills, knowledge of the Philippine jungles, and cook in prisoner war camp was an asset to his fellow soldiers and prison guards alike during his captivity. He endured the death march and hard treatments meted out by his Japanese captors. While stationed in Japan following the war, Pastor met and fell in love with a Japanese woman, married her, and raised a family. Even after this horrific experience as a prisoner, including a bout of malaria, Pastor held no hatred for the Japanese. He always looked at others in the best light and treated all with generosity and kindness. Sergeant Palumbarat went on to serve in the Korean War. Total years served in the U.S. Army was 25, retiring as a Master Sergeant. Today we have proof of his use of the GI Bill. He has several professional grandchildren in his family. We have 3 engineers, a CPA, a lawyer, an MBA graduate, and a biochemist. He passed away in November at the age of 81 in 1991. His service medals include the National Defense, United Nations, and Korean Service Medal with 3 Bronze Stars, Combat Infantry Badge, and Good Conduct Medal. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you. Done? Done and done. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the presenters. I'd like to close this portion of the presentation by acknowledging that I didn't do this alone. I wanted to say that there are folks that I really depend on, and primarily that is the next of kin families who provided me with information about their loved ones. To them, the honor goes, and because they took the time to do research. So I have a little bit of a message for each of you. So for every award ceremony, there is a lot of behind-the-scenes work that PhilRep does to process each application and prepare for the event. For me, that often entails getting to know each veteran's wartime military history, what he or she contributed and sacrificed to the war efforts. And for each bio or history I read of their heroic acts, I marvel at the resilience, pain, sorrow, and sacrifices they went through, not only for our country and their families, but mostly so that democracy will prevail. I am grateful for the acquaintances of each veteran's family and getting to know your father or grandfather. Through your stories, correspondences, military records, hearts, and mine, I have met survivors of the greatest generation. You, as the next of kins, are to be congratulated for pursuing the history of your loved one and what he did to give you all a better life and freedom. And so today, it gives me great pleasure to honor you and your loved ones as you receive the Congressional Gold Medal for yours, your grandfather's, your father's valor and sacrifice. Never forget where you came from or how you got here. Always remember. This portion of the presentation will close with a little bit of reflection, and I'd like to invite Rosie Reynaud to come up and do a little dance number and give you a little bit of chance to digest this. And then following her dance, Dennis Dye, son of Sergeant Clyde Dye, will come up and accept and deliver an acceptance and gratitude on behalf of all the family. And then I'd like Mayor Ronald Frederick to do the closing remark. Thank you all.
Our My name's Dennis Dye. I'm the son of Clyde W. Dye, U.S. Marine Corps. I've been asked to say thank you to all of you for coming today to honor the recipients of the Congressional Gold Medal. And I want to thank my family. I had a pretty big turnout. And I'm really glad my dad survived 1,257 days in a prison camp. Had he not done that, I wouldn't be here. So for that, I appreciate him. Every one of these recipients in their own way sacrificed something that as a civilian you will never understand until you've worn a uniform. And my dad's favorite people on this earth are the Filipinos. There were 2 Filipino scouts who found a canoe that provided him an escape from Bataan to get to Corregidor to survive. So since that day, my dad always said there's no better people on earth than the Filipino people. So just thought I'd share that with you. And last but not least, I want to tell you something. I volunteer with an organization called Puget Sound Honor Flight. If you've never heard of that, please look it up. We take any veteran from any war, combat or non-combat, to Washington, D.C. for 3 days. We see 14 memorials. The veteran pays nothing for it. And you are allowed to come as a guardian, or we provide a guardian for that veteran. And it's really a special thing to do. If you have anyone in your family that's a veteran, please look up Puget Sound Honor Flight. If you do get to go there, in closing, there's a wall in Washington, D.C. at the World War II Memorial. And on that wall, there's a plaque and it reads, "The Price of Freedom." The Freedom Wall holds 4,048 gold stars. Each star represents 100 American service personnel who died or remain missing in action. That totals 405,399 servicemen and women who paid the ultimate price for our freedom and so that we could be here today. So thank you all for coming.
I've been handed a note that we have a couple other people in the audience here, Merlin Statz and Larry Cavernera, who's the commander of the Bataan Corregidor Survivors Association. So stand up and raise your hand there. Well, no. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending today. I hope you enjoyed it. This concludes the formal portion of the ceremony. There will be a reception with coffee and cake and some snacks over here, and you'll notice that we also have some memorabilia and photos of the folks who received the Congressional Gold Medal. So enjoy yourself and check out some of those things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending today. I hope you enjoyed it. This concludes the formal portion of the ceremony. There will be a reception with coffee and cake and some snacks over here, and you'll notice that we also have some memorabilia and photos of the folks who received the Congressional Gold Medal. So enjoy yourself and check out some of those things. Thank you very much.
Hope you're having a good day today.
Yeah, I'm hard of hearing, so you'll have to talk loud.
Of course. Yeah, so today we'll just have you start out with your name, your rank served while you were in, and the unit you served in.
Yeah, I was in,
Your rank served while you were in, and the unit you served in.
yeah, I was with the 96th Infantry Division in World War II, called the Deadeyes, and we participated in the liberation of the Philippines. And while there, I was a corporal, and on the island of Leyte, we were on the right flank of the Tacloban airstrip, and then we moved on to a little village called Dagami, yeah, and I got the combat infantry badge there and the Bronze Star.
Awesome. And a Bronze Star, is there any other awards you received?
Oh, yeah, I got a whole bunch. And if you want them named, I brought a list.
Wow. That's quite all right, sir. Thank you, though. Can you tell us about your experience in the Army overall?
Well, I had my infantry training at Camp Roberts, and that was for 18 weeks. And then they had put me on limited service. I finished my infantry training because I'd caught my finger in a punch press and they were going to amputate it, but my mother said no, and so I wasn't 21, so I kept the finger and it's still on. And after I finished there, they put me in the ammo division, delivering to all the firing ranges, delivered all the ammo and picked all the brass up in the evening. I did this for about a year, and then I got a 10-day pass, first one. So I lived in LA, and I had a black and white Harley motorcycle, a 80 flathead, 1939. So I drove it to East LA, where I was raised, and I was there 2 days, and a police officer from Montebello Police Department asked me if I would help him because they're short of men. So I put one of his uniforms on, and it was a big funeral. And so he was going to break the signals, and then I'd hold the signals on the second end. Well, I gassed up at the gas station, but I did not know. Water came down the curb. My rear wheel went out and spun me and ground me around in the highway, and I finally got it shut off and crushed my leg and my ankle, and the car stopped because their top speeds were 15 and 20 miles an hour. And so they lifted me up, took to the doctor's office, and he started cutting my pant leg, and I said, I'm in the Army. He said, I can't touch you. So 3 hours later, an Army ambulance came and took me to the Pacific Army Regional Hospital in Pasadena. And I was there for 3 months. They x-rayed, had a cast up in my hip. And then the chaplain there offered me a assistant chaplain job and spend the rest of the time there at the hospital, which was first class, people, entertainment, good beds, everything. And I just finished my infantry training, and I said to myself, no. So they shipped me off then to Monterey, California, reclassified. Didn't go back to Camp Roberts. They sent me to Colorado, Camp Carson, in the 10th Division, which was the ski troops in the World War II. And we were down at the 90th, and we were mountain infantry. And so I spent time as a BAR man in a rifle squadron. Then I guess Europe got real hot and the Pacific got real hot. So they said, got to split the 90th. Half will go to Europe and the other half go to the Pacific. And so they sent us to Fort Ord, California. And that's when we got on a Liberty ship. And 30 days later, we went all the way down to New Guinea, LAE. New Guinea was out to south. Went to Hollandia, and then to Philippines, where we were replacements for General MacArthur I have returned the invasion of the Philippines. So that's where all that happened. And after the campaign on Leyte, we went to Okinawa, and we spent 71 days there. A lot of casualties, 10,000 killed, wounded, missing in action. 200,000 civilians missing. We were accredited with 35,000 of the enemy. General Buckner, 4-star, was the 10th Army commander. He was killed. My general, General Easley, he was killed. A lot of my personal men were killed there. After the 71 days the operation was over, they put us on the LSTs, put our tanks in the bottom, headed out to sea, and caught a storm, which happened to be one of the real typhoons we were caught in. And so we went up 70 feet high and then dropped down. Here come another wave, 120-mile-an-hour winds. We were sicker than dogs, broke the chains loose on our tanks, and so everything above deck washed off, and we ended up back in the Philippines on the island of Mindoro. And then as the war came to a conclusion, we were to stay in the Army 6 months after the cessation of the war, which we did on Mindoro. So when we ended up coming back to the States, we ended up Fort MacArthur in San Pedro, California. And Marjorie May was our pinup girl. She played tough parts. She was a tough old gal, Ma Kettle, and we wanted a tough gal for a tough outfit. We didn't want one of those curvy things, you know. And so we did that. And when we docked at San Pedro, we were very happy to be home. And that was 6 months after the war closed.
That's incredible service.
I guess about it.
That's incredible service. In the wake of all that, I'm sure this must mean a lot to you. I'm sure this ceremony must mean a lot to you in the wake of all of that.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the importance and the meaning of that to you?
The importance of the what?
Of the ceremony?
Today?
Yes.
Extremely important, because all the members of I'm the only remaining member of my company. And to be recognized by the Philippine government, by the American government also, and the city of Dupont and the Purple Heart Association is one of the biggest days of my life. It's just a real honor, because then not only is it that I received that, but I'm receiving it for all the men that were in my outfit that are all now gone. So it's extremely important to bring this to a conclusion, so to speak.
And the actual Purple Heart, what does that mean to you?
Well, it only took 73 years to get it. Well, when I got my discharge paper, didn't have the 96th on there. They had the 90th, so they have no records. And then they sent me this, and I wrote them a letter and say it's wrong. They said send it back, we'll correct it. Never heard from them again. I still don't have my discharge paper. And then they burnt the records. I got boxes. My God, it's 73 years. No. So the Northwest Kiwanis Club has been real active with me, got a whole Congress people. It's taken a whole year, and finally got the Secretary of the Army's attention to review all our records, and they made their decision, and so then they authorized my movement.
They're all the same.
And how do you feel that you received the Congressional Gold Medal today?
Oh, that's probably the greatest day of my life because my family was here, my friends were here. It's just absolutely wonderful. Yes.
That's awesome. And do you have any advice for a soldier currently serving today?
Yes. If a soldier is serving, you've got to have a positive attitude, keep your eye on the target, have a good sense of humor, and don't give up. And keep up and keep going. Because America really needs this today. We need good old-fashioned Americanism.
That's, that's amazing advice. And all of this, did this all have an impact on your life, on who you are as a person to this day?
How did it affect my life?
How are you as a person to this day?
Well, today, I'm doing really well. This is the best part of my life. When I got out of the Army, I suffered a lot of mental PTSD and up and down. I mean, my life was really not good. And I was a single father with 4 kids, so that gave me extra responsibility. So I continue to work hard, and every time I fail, I get up and do it again. And so my family's here today, and I'm just really fills my heart that they are here to see this. I told my son, I said, see, I wasn't lying. What's your next adventure?
What's your next adventure? What's next for you?
Well, I'm looking for a girlfriend. and I can't find any. Is that you, Rico, over there? Yeah. Yeah, Rico's my caregiver. And every time I find a nice-looking lady, Rico says, remember, she's married. So she's my boss, my caregiver. She's been with me over 5 years. She's a member of the family. I love her very much. I could, without Eureka, I would not be here today. She keeps me alive. She is God sent. I've been really blessed to have her in my life. And then the nurse that sent by her was my nurse because I'm legally blind, and she treated me at the Claris Eye Clinic. Well, she has become a friend of mine, and her and her husband, and they are dear people, and I love them very much. And so I am really blessed. I have so many good people and friends and support people. It's just unbelievable. Can I borrow $1?
I got a tip for you.
You think? Good. I think that's all we got for you today. Thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome, and I thank you. And I'm going to go home now, and I'm going to. I don't drink, but boy, I'm going to get me a shot of something there. A glass of wine or something.
It's warming up.
Oh yeah. Enjoy yourself.
Rest. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Harvey.
Is that it?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Get the
Okay.
mic. Of course. Here, I'll go ahead and take the mic from you, sir.
Oh, I thought that was a souvenir.
Thank you so much.
I wish I'd known this when this started. I was leaving and I thought, well, where's Harvey? Because I saw some of his family, and then I looked over here. And
thank you.
I got the tail end of that. I have lunch with him once a month. Really? For over 2 years. Yeah, all 18.